With the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the prospect of a full world war is back on the table. Now, this is a scenario no one expected to happen again. The horrors of war have been long documented in many films and books and plays over the decades, including the story of John Weirfoot, who was the only Canadian Army chaplain to win the Victoria Cross during World War II. Well, Dallen Brodowski is bringing that story to life in a play showing in his hometown of Pemberton and also in Whistler. Dallen, hello there. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So just how much of a challenge is it to play a war hero and all of the emotion or turmoil that can bring?
I'll say it is definitely a challenge, but what is more difficult is the character of John Foot. He wasn't so much focused on the hardship. What helped him was to focus on like the love that he could find in the world, like to support his men. And I found that is what helps me most, like really get into like how he was feeling during those times. Because if you focused on all the hardship and the sadness, then you had nowhere to go from there.
And what is his story? Who was John Weirfoot?
John Weirfoot was he was an everyman for most of his life. But when the call to action came, he enlisted in the Canadian Chaplain Service. He was a priest before a preacher, but he felt that he was going to be best needed overseas, fighting alongside the men to save the world. He was a farmer. He played in a band. He was just really like an honest working man that loved his neighbor as he had done his whole life. He was the only Canadian chaplain who won the Victoria Cross.
Yeah, so what attracted you to his story? Why did you want to play him?
In all honesty, it kind of came onto my doorstep. My old drama teacher, Ren, she called me up one day and said, "I have a really amazing opportunity for you," and I was hoping you consider it. She knew of the play, she knew of his story. I had never heard of it, and I was surprised I'd never heard of it until I turned just 22. She called me up and said, "Hey, I'd love for you to do this show with me," and I'd actually in the spring before then. She called me in around October. In April, I had done a show at Capilano University, which was Unity 1918, which is also was very topical with the Spanish influenza. I played a soldier named Hart. It wasn't a true story, but based off true events. So I already kind of had that in my bag recently. So I thought I might as well give it another shot.
Well, I think that's kind of cool that your former drama teacher contacts you. So I'm thinking about all the people taking drama today. How does that underscore that relationship between student, actor, and teacher?
Well, she was there from the beginning. She was actually, I first met Ren. She was my substitute gym teacher in grade 10. That was the first time I met her, but I hadn't joined drama at that point in time. But once I did, I started to get to know her more, and then we had a really good group back then, and we just always kept touch. And at first we were, student teacher, but it wasn't long before we were just friends. And honestly, that just made it even better.
I'm glad that's working for you for sure. Now, when we think about what's going on right now, and before you started on this, before we actually knew there was a war in Ukraine with the Russian invasion, how much of that actually goes through your mind as you're rehearsing for this play?
A lot, actually. I'm not directly from Ukraine. I don't have a lot of family that I know from Ukraine, but that is where that's where my family originally came from. So I think about it often, and I do want to. There's a beautiful message in this play about the tragedy of war and how war is unfortunately almost inevitable with just the repeating of history. And I want people to, you know, come away seeing the show having that fresh in their mind and just keep a good perspective, because we're living through history. Unfortunately, it's the history books that no one wants to write right now.
So true. No, that's so true. And when people do come and watch your play, chances are there'll be a lot of familiar faces in the audience too. So what does it mean for you, you know, to go home, show what you can do for a hometown crowd?
I mean, I didn't think I'd be doing it so soon. I left to go to university. I thought that was going to be my start. I didn't think I'd be coming back so quick, but I mean, there's no place I'd rather tell a story like this.
Dallen, we wish you all the best with the run. Thank you so much. It's so good to meet you.
Well, thank you so much.
Storm clouds were gathering. While I was busy pastoring, playing clarinet and trumpet in the town band, and raising chickens, Hitler was busy setting the stage for a conflict that would change the world and change my life forever. September. War came. From all over Canada, brave men joined up to fight. I decided the best place for me would be on the battlefield beside them.